Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today I'm going to machine knit a headband or the hairband and have some curved outline. And I'm trying to keep it not curl on the edges, so you will see the simple technique I use. For this hairband, I'm going to combine with some elastic, so it's more functional. You can also just knit a long string so you can tie it up instead of using the elastics. An I-cord will be a good option. I'm using the 100% cotton yarn from Knit Picks because the cotton yarn is more stiff, so it doesn't curve as much. And because I use elastic, it will still be very functional. And I simply start with a basic E-rop cast on and cast on 6 stitches. I want to start from the narrow side and increase stitch and then decrease to create that curved shape. After I knit my first 2 rows, I can start to manipulate the edges so it doesn't curve as much. And I simply pick up the line below the first row, that's on the second row, and I pick up the line in between stitches because it is easier to pick up. And I do that for the first and the last 2 stitches. So I will just go down the stitch 1 row below and then find out the line in between the 2 stitches and hand it back to the needle. This way it reinforces the stitch so the edge will be stronger and less curly. So I start my first 5 rows the same way and then I start to increase. And to increase, I simply use a 3-prong transferring tool and move 1 stitch out on both sides. And they will have 2 empty needles. I simply fill it up with the next stitch, find the horizontal bar, and then hand it to the empty needle. And don't forget to keep manipulate the edge stitches so it's less curly. Every time after we finish manipulate the stitches, I will knit 2 rows. So we will keep repeating that, including the edge stitches and the increase or decrease. And then we knit 2 plain rows. For the increase, I increase from 6 stitches to 12 stitches. You can decide how wide you want it to be and you can change the stitch count. Once we reach 12 stitches, we can start decreasing. And we do it the same way. We move the outer 3 stitches 1 stitch in. And then we still keep manipulating the outer 2 stitches. Pick up the stitch from below so it's stronger and less curly. So we increase from 6 stitches to 12 stitches, and then from 12 stitches back to 6 stitches. Once you are back to 6 stitches, you can decide if you want to increase right away or you want to have 1 more plain row. It's really your design. Here I add 1 row of plain stitches and then continue again. We increase from 6 stitch to 12 and then back to 6. Totally I repeat 4 times. And again, it depends on your yarn, your tension, and your design or the stitch count. I use tension 9 for this yarn. It's considered the worsted weight, even though it seems thinner than the worsted. I find the bigger tension easier to work on the cotton yarn, and it's also less curl. After I knit a few repeats, I find the back side is more interesting. It has a different texture and contrast because the edge stitches are pretty thick and the center is a little bit concave. And because it's the back side, you see the back of the stockinette stitches. I like it better than the front side, so I will use that as the front side. And after you repeat 4 times or the length you like, you can continue with plain stitches of those 6 stitches. That's the narrow part. And you can match the row count number so it's the same length as the beginning. And after that, you can just bind off and you can sew up yarn tail and pull it tight a little bit so it's not too loose. And the next part is to just sew up the elastic. And I simply use a needle and thread and sew a few stitches to secure the elastic. So that's it. It's a very simple project. And you can use the same technique to make it longer, maybe knitting a belt. You can also experiment with adding some lace holes. You simply transfer stitch to the next stitch, you will create a hole. Or you can add some cable stitches just by crossing 2 and 2 stitches or 3 and 3 stitches. You will make the band tighter. So you can play around to change the design. I hope you find this video useful. Thank you so much for watching and talk to you next time.